Jason Bateman really put his best foot forward in an interview about the new season of Arrested Development.
He did not put his best foot forward.
Hey, you're watching What's Trending. I'm Anna Lori. In an interview with the New York Times, the cast of Arrested Development talked about what it's been like working on a show that started 15 years ago. In a lucid moment of actual journalism, the New York Times addressed a difficult topic: Jeffrey Tambor and his sexual harassment allegations on the set of Transparent. The conversation shifted toward Jessica Walter, who Tambor had apparently verbally berated on set years before.
Verbally, yes, he harassed me, but he did apologize. I have to let it go, and I have to give you a chance to for us to be friends again.
Absolutely.
But it's hard because honestly, Jason says this happens all the time. In like almost 60 years of working, I've never had anybody yell at me like that on a set.
Jason, it's all good here, Bateman tried his best to diffuse the tension by normalizing Tambor's behavior and gaslighting Walter at every turn. He said, "There is a context. What we do for a living is not normal, and therefore the process is not normal sometimes. And to expect it to be normal is to not understand what happens on set. Again, not to excuse it, Alia, but to be surprised by people having a wobbly route to their goal, their process, it's very rarely predictable. It's just not a good excuse. I'm sorry. It's 2018. You can't blame your behavior on artistry. Like, it's ridiculous to think that Jeffrey Tambor needs to sexually harass people or verbally abuse them so that he can achieve his goals in his acting performance. That's nuts to me. Caution, cuidado. Bateman prefaces a lot of his statements where he excuses Tambor's behavior with, "Not to excuse it, but." I'm not racist, but the craziest thing about this article to me is how Walters is constantly has to defend herself and her very real experience. Like, it was on set. It's not like he yelled at her in private and we're arguing whether or not they believe her. They're telling her how to feel about her own experience in this interview. It's like they're scared that she's gonna be honest about it. Like, their reaction is so inappropriate and disrespectful to Jessica Walter, and if they were worried about the outcome of this article, like, that's the only thing I can think of for why they need to constantly correct what she's saying, basically. Like, they should have thought about what the actual inflammatory part of this article would be, which is you silencing a woman. That was clearly the thing that was going to get picked up. Okay, let's give a little background to how this all started. Earlier this year, Tambor was fired from his role on the Amazon show Transparent after accusations of sexual harassment on set. Then in May, in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Tambor denied the harassment allegations, but admitted he had a temper and referenced his blow-up at Jessica Walter. And in the interview, she even says, like, "I didn't bring this up. You brought it up in an interview, Jeffrey. Otherwise, I would never have talked about this, Bateman comes off as so defensive of Tambor in the interview at the expense of what Jessica Walter went through. It's no shock that this article is creating controversy. Jimmy G303 says, "Jesus, Bateman is such an enabling peacemaker. You can tell he hates confrontation and needs everyone to feel comfortable. He's got to deal with that because he's wrong." It's interesting because, like, this could have actually been a really interesting exchange between Walter and Tambor if you didn't have, like, referee Bateman there trying to play devil's advocate on everything. Gray tea friend, it isn't a family, it's a job. There are rules about how you behave at work, period. Beth Elderkin, "This piece makes me uneasy, but in a way it's a case study of how our society responds to harassment against women. Men rush to defend and normalize with the occasional 'I'm not defending but' platitudes. The only one truly saying this is not acceptable is the young woman." And she says it one time, and it's basically completely ignored, and so then she just doesn't say anything for the rest of the interview. And I think we can all agree with Tranic1, who says, "I think it is f***ed that they use at David Cross's corpse in a Weekend at Bernie's type fashion because they were too far in to recast. The man was a person and he should be treated with the dignity he deserves. R.I.P. David Cross." David Cross is alive and is in fact only 54 years old, but his beard is eternal. Unsurprisingly, Jason Bateman publicly apologized in a series of tweets. He said, "Based on listening to the NYT interview and hearing people's thoughts online, I realized that I was wrong here. This is a big learning moment for me. I shouldn't have tried so hard to mansplain or fix a fight or make everything okay." Tony Hale also apologized, tweeting, "I have reached out to Jessica personally to apologize. Arrested Development is one of my families. Regardless of my intentions, it is clear that my words, both said and unsaid, served to minimize Jessica's pain, and for that I am extremely sorry." Reactions to Bateman's apology are, expectedly, mixed. Lexi Alexander tweeted, "Jason Bateman's apology makes no sense. If you know that was horrible behavior, then what made you do it? None of what he tweeted this morning occurred to him in a room sitting opposite a crying, clearly hurt woman. It only occurred to him after he was made aware of the backlash." You don't have an excuse for not knowing, because guess what? There are hundreds of books and articles, lots of people saying stuff online that you could have checked out and educated yourself on. But you decided not to because it wasn't worth your time. And so now this is happening to you. You are not aware of yourself and your surroundings. You're not aware of the culture that you're contributing to. And so you got a spanking. I'm sorry. What is important is that he said some things out loud, heard many different opinions on why that might not be the right thing to say, and he's thinking about it now, right? Like, the idea that everyone can be perfect the first time, I think, is false. He could have done better. And Joe Berkowitz writes in an article for Fast Company, "It seems the main thing some men have learned from this moment is that men are now more vulnerable to consequences than before, and sometimes it's men we like. The real takeaway from all this should instead be that men absolutely cannot keep doing what they've always done across the board, and that includes automatically standing up for friends and heroes just because we like them." Yes. Will these dudes fucking change? You know what I mean? Like, the only reason they stop their behavior is because they got caught. Like, it takes a lot of work to change that kind of mindset where you just see women as objects or just see women as a sexual gratification, you know? And it's especially heinous that he was doing it to trans women. Like, that's even more horrible because he figured the star of a trans-centered show, actually assessed that trans women would have less of a voice. And so therefore they were easier to prey upon. What do you guys think? Is this a real learning moment for Jason Bateman, or is he just apologizing because of the outrage? Let us know in the comments below. And for more stories like this, head over to whatstrending.com.